back, America. Hugh Hewitt, joined now by Congressman Jim Renacci of northeastern Ohio. He's probably going to be the next governor of Ohio, but right now he's on the Ways and Means Committee, which is writing the tax bill. I think we're going to get to see it tomorrow. Jim Renacci, welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show. Always good to talk to you, Congressman.
Good morning, Hugh. It's always great to be with you.
Now, when do we see the bill, the draft bill?
Well, the way we're understanding it, you're probably going to see it next week. I know you just reported you're going to see it tomorrow. I think a lot of the pieces are going to start coming out as next week rolls out because there are a lot of things that haven't been decided yet, which is one of the problems. The Ways and Means Committee is still looking at pieces and parts, and the problem exists that, you know, there are people that want changes. The big example is the SALT deduction, the state and local income tax. If that changes, there's going to be other changes have to be made. So there's continual looking at, talking, and looking at some of these issues. We have all the pieces and parts, but we haven't put them all together yet.
You know, I had breakfast last week with your old friend John Campbell, a very good friend of mine. You two were the accountant car dealer caucus in the Congress for a while, and we laughed at how slow Congress moves. And I know there are a lot of pieces, but you're a businessman, Jim Renacci. There's no way to get something passed until you get it out there and let people see it. And if they wait till next week, what could possibly delay it? They've been debating this in that committee for 2 years.
Well, I would also agree with you. Look, I'm frustrated as well because I keep asking. In fact, we had a meeting, Republican members of the Ways and Means, and I asked the chair at that point in time, can I have the book? I can sell anything if I have the blueprint, especially my background, and that's what we're still waiting for. But there's a lot of anxiety of getting a lot of these pieces out because every time you put a piece out, it gets attacked by a special interest group that says you can't have this, you can't stop that. It's one of the problems with our tax code. It's so complicated that every time you move a piece, it affects somebody else. The only way to really do this and not have all these concerns is to just cut the taxes and not look for these pay-fors, which is the problem. Because a pay-for means you're just shifting the tax burden somewhere else. And I've said that all along. I'd even be for just making some tax cuts. At the same time, though, our problems are not the revenue side. Our problem are the expense side. And I'm a big advocate that we have to start looking at mandatory spending.
Well, we have to get growth back. And I'm reading from roll call. Ryan appears to give up repealing SALT deduction. And I've talked to the speaker about this for a long time. There are reliance damages built in for blue state people who are there. It will also destroy us politically. Whatever it is, though, we got to get it out and done. And so what kind of schedule are you expecting at this point? You're a member of the Ways and Means Committee. You guys have to mark this up, right?
Well, the goal will be to get something done before Thanksgiving. I mean, that's the key. And but you just hit the nail on the head. If we're giving up on the SALT deduction, then we have a serious problem because that is an issue. By the way, here's how easy it is. Today, 72% of people do not itemize. After you double the standard deduction, there'll be 95% of the people who do not itemize. Yet we're worried about a deduction for a few states. This is the problem which causes tax reform to be very difficult to get done.
There's a worry that charitable deduction, charitable giving will go down when you double the standard deduction, Congressman Renacci. Are you concerned about that?
No, again, because the facts show that 72% of people don't itemize, yet a majority of people do charitable deductions. So I think in the end, people are going to make these deductions, and the big deductions are going to be made because we're still going to allow charitable deductions. You're just doubling the standard deduction. So for somebody who's been in business for almost 3 decades, has done taxes for almost 3 decades, I can tell you that if we can explain this, which is always the way I would rather do it, you'll see that in the end, we have to be able to simplify the tax code, put it on a postcard, eliminate some of these deductions, and get our rates down. It's so interesting because people say, well, I want this deduction or I want that deduction. And I remember doing tax returns where people were at 39%. I got them to 28%. And they were happy as could be. Now they could be at 25% or 15% depending on, their income level, and they still want the deduction. So we just have to look at ways to make sure people realize some of these deductions can't stay if we're going to lower the rates.
Yeah, and I am basically to the point where we have to get something done because we're going to lose a second major issue with that, and that will be the destruction of the Republican Party if they don't pass tax reform. Talk to me, last question. Subchapter S Corporations. You're talking to one. I'm a Subchapter S because I work for 17 different people. And so it all comes into my Subchapter S Corporation. Do you think it is wise to cut the top rate of Subchapter S from 39.6 down to 25?
Well, again, I think businesses need to grow and prosper. Look, it goes all the way back to the Reagan years. We didn't have a Subchapter S, so after the '86 tax reform, everybody moved toward pass-throughs. So now we have 70%, 67%, whatever the number is, of businesses that are pass-throughs. So now you have a situation where you have businesses operating as pass-throughs. You have to be able to bring business top rate down on businesses so they employ more people, and at the same time they don't leave this country. Not that you're going to leave, but there are companies that leave because the tax rate today, our highest corporate tax rate is 35, and you can go to Ireland 11%.
Yeah. Now, by the way, you can do a broadcast from Ireland, and I like it. It's green. Jim Renacci, a quick question on Ohio politics. To the extent that Ohio is impacted by this tax bill, one of the things that will be impacted is whether or not you keep the death tax. Everybody hates the death tax, but I read something again in the tall grass that you're going to keep the death tax. Is that true?
Well, no. The goal today is to eliminate the death tax. You're talking about in Ohio?
No, in the federal code.
In the federal code, look, we're looking to eliminate the death tax. I think in the end, if there are some adjustments to it, it would be really toward generation passing. The biggest problem with the death tax today is that you have small farmers, family farmers, small businesses, family businesses where the owner dies and then they got to transfer it to a child or grandchild within the family, and then they got to pay this big tax burden, and many times they lose the business. We have to protect that. That has to be the key. I tell everybody, if you're a wealthy person, you're not paying estate taxes anyway because you've done enough estate tax planning that you're not going to pay those. But we do have to protect those family businesses and small farms.
Jim Renacci, always good to talk to you. Please go back and find Chairman Brady and tell him we really can't wait for another week. We gotta cut the tape and get going here. Let us know what we're debating because we really are going to get killed. Perfectly executed half maneuver is to hang out there and let everybody take shot at an unknown blueprint. So good luck to you. Thank you for joining me this morning, Congressman Jim Renacci.